We must therefore not fail to discern the new reality which points to the required collective strength of all nations if the world economy is to return to safe ground. The developing countries, therefore, can no longer be left behind. Here reside the majority of humanity, tremendous resources, and the largest market of the world, all fundamental to global economic resurgence and sustainability. Partnering for a more equitable and sustainable future is clearly an imperative, not just for the Commonwealth, but for the entire international community. This partnership must extend to all areas of global concern. We must therefore join efforts to combat the emerging threat of non-communicable diseases, which by 2020 will account for about 73% of global deaths and 60% of the global burden of diseases. We in CARICOM have already held a special regional summit on the matter. At this Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, we would like our colleagues to support the convening of a special United Nations summit on this issue, a proposal made by Trinidad and Tobago at the recent General Assembly held in September of this year. Global partnership must also focus on the small and vulnerable states of the world, many of which are in the Commonwealth. The plight of these countries has been made even more acute by the present problems. More than empathy is required. The Commonwealth must continue its exemplary efforts to ensure the adoption by the wider global community of its own approach to these countries. Middle-income countries are also challenged, many of which are in the Commonwealth. Given their vulnerabilities, the need must not be underestimated for access to concessionary financing. This was highlighted at the 2008 conference in Namibia, which called for enhanced levels of international developmental assistance for middle-income countries. It was also noted that the current categorization does not accurately reflect the particularities and requirements of these nations. This Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting must take this matter on board and have appropriate discussions with the relevant international financial institutions. On the issue of climate change, we must do our utmost to engender partnership on the way forward. Ours is the last international summit before Copenhagen next month to deal with this critical matter. We must not be victims of any pessimism on the outcome of this meeting. The Commonwealth, as a microcosm of humanity, reflects the diverse positions on this issue. We are therefore in a very good position to lead the way forward. Let us, in our harmonious environment, decide on how we would like to proceed, and let us bring our position as a group for the consideration of the rest of the global community. In this way, the Commonwealth in Port of Spain in November could ensure success for the UN in Copenhagen in December. This, my dear friends, is partnership indeed. As chair of this Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, Trinidad and Tobago has been working over time with other countries to forge a global consensus on this pressing issue. We are therefore extremely appreciative of the fact that the Secretary General of the United Nations, the President of France, and the Prime Minister of Denmark will join us at this meeting in pursuit of the way forward. Your Majesties, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, in keeping with our common spirit of partnership, we have already had meetings of civil society, youth, and the business sector. All these discussions are of equal importance, but there's something unique about the business forum of this CHOGM that deserves a special mention. It was virtually an international gathering of almost 1,000 business leaders, historic in many ways. In addition to the hundreds of business delegates from the Commonwealth, also present were many from non-Commonwealth nations of the Western Hemisphere. The latter were here on the invitation of Trinidad and Tobago, which hosted the recent Summit of the Americas. We recognized the unprecedented opportunity of bringing together this wide spectrum of business interests and the tremendous possibilities that could result for business development across borders and regions. I am sure we all agree that we undoubtedly need the vitality of the private sector if we are to emerge from the present slowdown in the world economy. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, let this Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting pursue the unimpeded flow of trade and investment under agreements fashioned in the partnership by all, including the small, poor, and vulnerable. Let us collaborate for knowledge and technology transfer to improve efficiency and productivity, especially in countries where these are sorely needed. Let our goal, through partnership, be the creation of wealth in all our countries for improved education, health, housing, security, and infrastructure development. Let us do our part for the expansion of the middle class in all of the developing world to strengthen the productive and purchasing power of nations that have been left behind. And let the entire world community benefit from this equality of opportunity among nations and the sustainable dynamism and creativity that it could produce. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the essence of our theme, which exhorts us into partnership for a more equitable and sustainable future. This is no longer the voice of a perennial aspiration from the wilderness of the third world. Change is happening. Economic multipolarity is emerging. G7 has been replaced by G20. Transformation is now possible. This new embryonic partnership could produce a fusion of worlds, first, second, and third. Such a development would be one of the greatest boons to humanity in this 21st century. The Commonwealth has long pointed the way towards this constructive confluence. It must advance this cause for which it is well positioned. With its diversity and adherence to consensus, it has been an enduring example of harmonious collaboration in the interest of all, rich and poor, large and small. We therefore have an obligation to ensure that the new light from humanity's common challenge continues with intensifying brightness to illuminate the way forward for all the people of the world, creating a greater sense of an international community and consequently greater democracy in determining the direction of this, our global village. Amidst the many present challenges and concerns over human affairs, a new dawn is still possible. It is waiting, ladies and gentlemen. Let us achieve it through an international partnership for an equitable and sustainable future. Undoubtedly, the Commonwealth is ready and will play its part. Thank you very much, and once again, a very warm welcome, and may Almighty God richly bless you all. Thank you very much.